Hi guys, I hope you guys are having a good break and hopefully you guys are keeping safe and washing your hands. Well, today we're going to go ahead and continue with angle relationships. We're going to go ahead and go over supplementary angles. Now, before we go ahead and get started, I want to show you guys exactly what is a straight angle because straight angle is essential for the supplementary angles. So let's see over here. So let's say that we're trying to find the angle measure of RST. So RST is the line, and let's say that we're trying to find the measure of the angle. So in other words, what we're trying to find is this. We're trying to find from T all the way to R, finding that measure. So now there is actually two ways to do it. One way to do it is to go ahead and just put the protractor over it and then measure from T all the way to R, or another way to do it is to do it by segments. So if I go ahead and measure this angle first and then add it to this angle, then we should get the same thing, right? Because they're both part of the same larger angle. So the one in blue. So if we call this 1 and this is 2, then they should be equal to the blue line, which let's go ahead and do that. So here I went ahead and put the protractor over the angle number 2. So that's going to be this one. So from here all the way to here, that's my angle 2. So we go ahead and write measure of angle 2. So M stands for measure. That little symbol that looks like less than is the angle symbol. And then this is actually equal to around 153 degrees. So 153. Now, this is not the angle in blue because we're still missing the angle number 1. So we need to add angle 1 to angle 2 to get the measure of the larger one. So let's go ahead and do that. So right here, I went ahead and put it so we can find the smaller one. So this is going to be my measure of angle 1. So measure of angle 1 is approximately 27 degrees. So now let's go ahead and add them together. So measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is equal to what? So let's go ahead and add them. That's 27 plus 153, and that's actually equal to 180 degrees. Now, like I said at the beginning, there's actually another way that you can find it. You can just find it straight away. Instead of finding it in pieces, we can just go over here and then just measure it from this point all the way around to this point. So if I go ahead and do that, it's actually 180 degrees, which is what we got here. So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is that a straight angle, or in other words, a straight line, should always have 180 degrees as its measure. So let's go over another quick example for this. So you guys notice this one. So let's say that I'm being asked to find the angle measure of FGH. So an angle is always made up of 3 different points. In this case, the 3 points are F, G, and H. And let's say that I'm trying to find that angle measure. So in other words, what I'm trying to do is find the angle measure of this, the blue line that I just made. So if I go ahead and do that, notice that I'm going ahead and finding it straight away, not by pieces. So this, like this, it's 180 degrees. And that's, like I said, should always be the case when you have a straight angle. So when the angle is a straight one. So in other words, you don't have something like this. You don't have something like this. You have a straight line. So a straight line, it's 180 degrees. Now, if I were to find it in pieces, this is 127. Then this should be what? This should actually be 53, right? Because 53 plus 127 is actually equal to 180, which is the total. Now, let's go over the definition now that we have this. So if two angles form a straight angle, and like I said, this is key, then the sum of the two angle measures is equal to 180 degrees. So basically, what I'm saying is, if I go ahead and measure the angle ABC from like this, that is equal to 180 degrees. Now, if I go ahead and cut it into two different angles, let's actually put that more towards B. If I cut into two different ones, and let's say that this one's angle 1 and this one's angle 2, then the sum of them should also be equal to 180. So that's essentially what the definition is telling us. So measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 must always be equal to 180 degrees when the two angles make a straight angle. So let's go over a formal example. So here in the bottom. So directions. Identify the angle relationship, then solve for the value of x. So the angle relationship first. So basically, so far we have only gone over two different angle relationships. The first one being complementary and then the second one being supplementary. So the first one that we have here, I have to figure out what relationship they are first. So this angle and then adding this angle. So together, they're making the larger angle, which is this one. So because they're making the larger angle, and the larger angle is basically a straight line, then I know that this is actually going to be supplementary angles. Supplementary angles. Now, by the definition, that means that they have to add up to 180. So let's make this one green and the second one red. So basically, this is going to be 3x plus 4 plus 71 must be equal to 180 degrees, because remember, supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. Now this is different from complementary angles, which add up to 90 degrees. So when we go ahead and solve this, we add these two. So it's going to be 3x plus 75 is equal to 180. And now this is just a two-step equation. So we have to go ahead and subtract 75 from both sides. That's going to give us 3x is equal to 105. Dividing both sides by 3 give us our final answer of x is equal to 35. So recap. We first go ahead and find the angle relationship, which we identified as being supplementary because they make a straight line over here. And then we go ahead and use that definition. So supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. Now, if we look at number 2, the two angles are forming this. So you have to ask yourself, in problem number 1, they made a straight line. In problem number 2, they're making this. Now, this in red is actually half of a straight angle. In other words, it's half of 180. Now, you can also go ahead and use a shortcut, which is this square right here. This square right here tells us that that's actually 90 degrees. So if this is 90, then this must be 90. So then these are complementary angles. So these are complementary angles. So complementary. Now, like I said, complementary angles are different from supplementary because complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So our equation would be something like this. 30 plus 2x is equal to 90 degrees. So then this is going to become a two-step equation. So we go ahead and subtract first 30 on both sides. This is going to go ahead and cancel. So all we're left with is 2x is equal to 60. We divide both sides by 2. X is equal to 30. So depending on the definition that you're using, you're going to have a different equation. If they make a 90-degree angle, when I'm talking about the sum, then that's going to be 90. If they make a straight angle, then that's going to be 180. So the last example number 3. Ask yourself, is this going to be supplementary or complementary? Well, if you answer supplementary, you are right. In this case, let's look at this. So you're adding this angle and this angle. So together, they make a straight line, right? So this straight line right here is a straight angle. Therefore, it has to add up to 180 degrees. So this is going to be supplementary. Oh, I want to use blue. Supplementary angles. Now, by definition of supplementary angles, which we have on top, this must add up to 180. Now, I gave an example like this on the last lesson that we had, but basically what you have to do here to solve it is go ahead and combine like terms first. So I want to combine numbers with numbers, so that'll be this number and this number, and then variables with variables. In this case, I don't have any more variables other than the 8x. So therefore, I don't have to worry about doing that. So putting 46 plus 54 plus 8x is equal to 180. Now the reason why I can move them around is because, like I said before, 1 plus 2 is the same thing as 2 plus 1. Changing the order does not matter. So I go ahead and add these two. Now 54 plus 46, that's going to be 100. So this is going to be 100 plus 8x is equal to 180 minus 100 minus 100. 8x is equal to 80. Divide by 8. Divide by 8. X is equal to 10.